This is Things You Might Not Have Heard. I am Jay Cleveland Payne, and I am ready to present for you yesterday's latest in information, politics, current events, and pop culture. This is your go-to supplemental source for both mainstream and unconventional news stories that you may have missed, with a little added context thrown in there. The Q8 stories from yesterday that you deemed as conversational, you vetted them as good stories. I put them together in this curated list for you this morning. We'll explain the full vetting process in a bit and give you some fun things for today to get into. So make sure you stay tuned till the end because you will enjoy it all. Our website is conversationalproject.com for more information about us with the full details of what we offer, and email us anytime you're up to it at theconversationinbox.com and ask us questions and let us know what we can do to make it better. Today is Thursday, January the 11th, 2024. Let's get into the stories we have for the day. 8 headlines, no particular order as they're presented. This is just how they laid out when we actually went through the listing. So starting off with headline in the first spot for this morning, and it reads, the headline does, like this. Ecuador TV studio taken over live on air by mass people brandishing guns. This actually happened about 2 days ago. This is sort of, how news travels and then how the stories stick around and when we get a chance to post them and when they get there. So this is a story that's actually grown a bit. Surge in violence in Ecuador, as I've said this year, I'm not going to go with it could be worse situations types of lines, but this are situations where you could see things going, you complain about the violence and terror that's here, it could be worse. Literally, masked men walked into a TV studio and wanted to get their message out, so they took over the newscast and forced them to the ground and went to take over. They were all apprehended and killed, most of them killed in this case, and security has been upped across the nation as the violence in Ecuador and just the gang activity is at an insane level. That's more perspective and more commentary there, but just you have to describe it as something. Insane level is a great way to describe it. Headline number 2 for this morning. Pat McAfee apologizes about Aaron Rodgers, announces his appearances are now over for the rest of the NFL season. Pat McAfee sort of did a big sigh of relief, like he's tired of this whole ordeal being over. Not that he's tired of so much Aaron Rodgers and doesn't want to, renew that. But Aaron Rodgers has been basically kicked off his paid appearances, and that's part of the reason they're paid appearances on Pat McAfee's show because of all the crazy nonsense he's been saying. Now he's been done for the season. Who knows if he can come back after the season and kind of talk about this, or if he'll be back next season, paid or unpaid. But for the rest of the season, which of course it's now playoff season, so it's almost over. It'll be done in basically 4 or 5 weeks. Pat McAfee is now done for the moment with Mr. Rodgers. Story, that's the third in this morning. As we said, no particular order of the stories. But this is good news for folks who are actually fans of Todd and Julie Chrisley. Todd and Julie Chrisley received $1 million lawsuit settlement. Todd and Julie Chrisley, known for the reality TV show Chrisley Knows Best, been awarded $1 million settlement in their lawsuit against the state of Georgia. The settlement resolved the 2019 lawsuit that the Chrisleys filed alleging misconduct in an investigation against them related to their state tax evasion cases. The lawsuit centered on the claims of improper handling of state tax officials. The settlement brings closure to this legal matter for the Chrisleys. Of course, they're still behind bars, so they're not done with the larger cases of tax evasions, just settling with the state of Georgia on how they handle the investigation. So that's some good news for them. They'll be getting out fairly soon, as far as I remember. There's some back and forth on just how early the releases they may get. Good behavior for both parts, other than the fact that they're doing interviews and talking about how bad jail is. But good news for fans of the Chrisleys and very good news for the actual Chrisleys themselves. The fourth story for this morning. Pete Carroll is out as head coach of Seattle Seahawks at the 14 seasons. It's hard to believe that I've been, waving my fist at Seattle for 14 years because I'm, as an Army brat growing up and a guy who just sort of didn't really get attached to teams. Yes, I've got the Falcons and who are always terrible, and the Saints when they were good coming out of the Katrina stuff. But the Seahawks always had players and always people that I've loved. So I've had a kind of an inkling for West Coast football till Pete Carroll got there and sort of hated them for 14 years. Now I guess I can love them again because Pete Carroll is gone. Now he's in his 70s, and so it's kind of time for him to kind of slow down maybe. And we'll talk about slowing down maybe in coaches in a moment. But of course, 2 NFC championships, a Super Bowl victory, great coach, great guy, coming out of USC as he did. But keep Pete Carroll no longer in charge in Seattle. We'll see who will take over there and whether I can love Seattle again. Mostly because of the weird colors of the uniforms. I love that. Oh, by the way, Alabama football coach Nick Saban, he's done. He's retiring from football. Yesterday's stories are mostly from the sources, but I think by the end of the day, with all the other craziness that happened last night, it was official. Nick Saban is done as head football coach in Alabama. One more thing about that one: Alabama is the state I was born in. Alabama, the football team, University of, is the football team I choose over Auburn, and I also hate Nick Saban, but I always root for Alabama because you kind of got to do that. He's been there for 17 seasons and has done a lot for college football, including make people mad and win all the championships and build a lot of other coaches along the way while making people mad and winning all the championships. We're saying goodbye to Nick Saban for football, most likely, but maybe he'll go to Seattle. Who knows? Who will see what Nick Saban has next up in his thing. But apparently the deal with the devil that Nick Saban had going on, essentially times that has expired, so now he's got to go re-up his deal or something. I don't know. Story number 6 for this morning, at the 6th spot at least. It is the headline, Stephen A. Smith forced to deny allegations about his book. The allegations he's denying, that he didn't write the book. Why is he denying these allegations? Well, if you watch his show and listen to him yell and scream and talk sometimes utter nonsense, he's beefing around with another commentary guy who talks and screams and utter nonsense. Is that grammar correct? But is another guy who's also getting flamed for just sort of turning the tables and being a weirdo at these days. That, of course, being that guy named Whitlock. But various people are claiming that Stephen A. Smith didn't write his book. Not necessarily saying it was ghostwritten or it's all fake, but saying that he didn't sit down and do the work. Stephen A. is saying he did the work. He wrote the book himself, all by himself. A little editing, a little tripping here or there, suggesting that, hey, maybe you shouldn't talk about this guy here. But there was no ghostwriter. There was no large editorial. There's no people that forced him to do anything. His upcoming book is his coming book, and it is what it is. And he says it's going to be glorious. Let's get into the story at the number 7 spot this morning. The headline reads, Gypsy Rose Blanchard opens up about social media fame. Now, this is a story also a couple days old. But by the time I got the chance to kind of see more stuff on it and had to look for something that was fairly fresh, it was already kind of out there. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, after her release from prison, has quickly gained attention on social media platforms, gaining many, many followers on the platforms that people want to see what's going on in her life now. She now claims to use her experience to advocate for awareness of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This is, of course, the situation where what she suffered, where adults will do what they can to make their children sick because it gets attention to their children and to them. So a way to seek attention from other people is to have children who are sick, who need needs, and that's what happens. That's what happened to her for years. And her going to prison was because of a plot she conducted with her current boyfriend, or boyfriend at the time, I should say, to kill her mother to get out of that issue. She served time. She got out early. She's married to someone she met in prison. I'm not sure how that works out, but it is there. Many people are concerned about Gypsy Rose Blanchard because newfound fame and all things going on now. She's a very significant person online and doing the rounds of interviews. So it's a big deal, and people are wondering, can she handle it? People who've actually worked with her, psychiatrists, psychologists, the folks who worked for her to help her transition out of where she was to where she is, all say it's kind of a tentative thing. It's kind of a here or there thing, a daily thing to go through. These are people who, of course, aren't working with her now. We'll see what happens going forward. And the story we have today, our final story in the 8 stories for the day, headline reads for this one, Hunter Biden makes surprise appearance at House committee hearing to hold him in contempt. Why didn't we not spotlight this? Why would we not highlight this? Why is this not a tease for what's going on? Because the whole thing happened, it was just sort of weird and surreal. I was having kind of a really busy day at work and just sort of sat in the car for a minute to move things from one place to another, and heard a news drop on what happened. And it was about a 2-minute story, I think, on CNN that kind of ran through the whole thing. And it was just bonkers. It made no sense. And it actually makes no sense. The bottom line is there was a hearing yesterday to push forward a movement to hold Hunter Biden in contempt of Congress because he did not show up and properly testify the way they wanted him to do weeks ago. And he just showed up for it and just sat in the gallery. and people went nuts. And then he walked out when Marjorie Taylor Greene started going nuts, and he gave a statement, and the whole thing was bonkers. Now, on top of everything, with, of course, the debate between Haley and DeSantis, and of course Governor Chrisley dropping out of the race, causing that a whole bit of chaos about an hour before the debate went off. This kind of got buried in the lead of everything else after he got through this stuff. This was going to be the biggest political sort of wow thing other than the debate last night. And then the situation changed for the Republicans. Of course, Trump had his town hall too, so that happened as well. But the whole Cinco de Incendio of Hunter Biden and what's going down is continuing, apparently, whether any of us like it or not. Oh, by the way, they passed the motion, so they're basically going to put it for a full vote, and he's going to be held in contempt of Congress. I'm not sure even what that means at this point, but hey, it is what it is. They're passing something. We're just happy for that. Let's move on to our apologies, errors, and omissions part. We're going to sneak in one quick story here, and that is Fox News. Not in their debate last night, but the fact that they still are pushing this story about Taylor Swift being a Pentagon asset, doing psyop work to get more people to vote on the other side. That's it. Taylor Swift is a plant by Biden to get more people to vote Democratic to battle off the Republican votes. That's it. That's literally it. Let's get to our teaser story today, because this is a big one. Let's just say I woke up went to bed last night dealing with debates and dealing with town halls and dealing with Hunter Biden and dealing with Chris Christie, and this is something that totally missed out the way, because I was looking for Tuesday to start watching the Echo on Disney Plus, to be totally honest. But once I remembered, oh yeah, she's deaf and I have to read most of it, kind of got sidetracked because other things are popping up. So that will be something for the weekend between football. In this case, this is a story I woke up to and was very, very, very alarmed by, because I'm a big supporter of using AI, but not bringing old people back from the dead to do fake comedy shows. And this is what happened. AI generated George Carlin drops comedy special that daughter speaks out against her. Quote, "No machine will ever replace his genius." George Carlin's been gone 15 years, but apparently he's still dropping comedy specials due to a company that makes AI programming that's backed by Will Sasso from Mad TV and writer Chad Kultgen. I can't read the script for some reason. And so they created this special. It is out there. I'm not sure where to be seen. I guess I'll have to go look for it. Tell me what you think about this one, or tell me if you want to think about this one, because this one is a scary one. Go to our feeds. Facebook and Twitter is where you can find us. Facebook.com/This is a Conversation Project, and Twitter.com/TH_conversation, TH_conversations. It had a little bit slower, Twitter or X, if you will. And what we do is every 50 minutes, we post news stories in the feeds. This one, if you're watching us live from the 550 broadcast, may not quite be there yet, but if you're watching a replay, more than likely it is in the feeds, and you will see this one. Is this a terror, like the daughter of George Carlin says, or everyone else thinking about the takeover of stuff? Is this exactly what the writers were and the actors were striking about past summer? Or is this just something fun, something light, something that we need right now because the world is kind of blowing up around us? You can engage in the story, and the higher you engage in the story, the more you like it, love it, hate it, share it, or comment on it, the better chance we have of talking about this one tomorrow. We'll talk about 8 stories, like we did today, of the top 15 stories of today. So if you make this a top 15 story, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about this one at the top of the list. Let's go to our sponsors we're spotlighting today. And today I'll actually get it right, because they are sponsors we are spotlighting today. Starting off with Blinkist. Books are important to me. Books are important to you, I'm sure. And getting information fast, because you're here for a quick update type newscast here, is, I'm sure, something you're into. Blinkist can help you get books read fast. Read more books this year. If your resolution is to read 100 books, you can literally read 100 books in about 10, 15 days, because 15 minutes is all you need for most books that are on Blinkist. Now, these are real books. These are summaries of very popular nonfiction and autobiographies out there that are broken down into 15-minute blinks, 15-minute breakdowns, 15-minute points that are just the gist of the words. You can read them, or you can listen to them in audiobook form, and you can get a bunch of them down every single day, all day. I listen to one on the way to work. I listen to one when I go to bed. So that's 2 books a day. So by that notion, I should be reading, 700 books this year. I actually read other books, so it's a little slower, but you can get caught up on all the great books that you've been behind on there. And you can share the love with other people, even if they don't have the app, because Blinkist Spaces allows you to create a space, share that space with other people, and share books and blinks with them, and then you can contact and talk about those as well. Check out our link so we get some help as well. This is the conversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is the conversationproject.com/Blinkist. This is an affiliate link, so if you use this link to install the app and keep the app, we get a commission from your use. We thank you in advance because every little bit helps us keep things going here. You know what also helps us and may help you this year in 2024? My new book. These will get you the job! Exclamation point. What's this book about? These are some traits that employers are looking for because they need employees, and these are the things they're looking for that are great for them. So if you're looking for a new job or looking to kind of gain your exposure, kind of expand the view of how you're seen at your current job, look at this book, read on these tips, and try to improve on one or two of them to see if you can be seen in a better light going forward or in a better light to some other new place. There's also a chapter at the end that allows you just the imagination that some employers may not be all that scrupulous and may try to use those great things to your example. The biggest thing, the easiest thing I use is the loyalty thing. If you are loyal to a group and want to see a project finishes out, so you're working towards project, and they keep throwing side gigs and other things and kind of slowing down the end of a project so you can't start your process of moving on, that may be a sign that you should just bail and just give it up on its own. Check it out by going to Amazon or any other place where books are sold, and search for These Will Get You the Job, J. Clifton Payne, and get it $10 in paperback, $5 in Kindle, and it's a very quick read, very good reference. My mother-in-law likes it, and that's all that's really important. Well, you buying it's kind of important, but my mother-in-law likes it, so she thinks it's good. So listen to her. She's a great person. She knows what she's talking about. Let's talk about us a little bit more. We're going to talk about the Conversation Project, and it lives online for the world to see at the website. This is conversationproject.com. Go to the website and see what we have to offer up to you. We have there links to other sponsors, links to our partnership page where you think you want to give us a little more to help us do more stuff. There's there. Links to the feeds, obviously there. Check the feeds every day. Email us at the Conversation inbox for information there. And links to all the various iterations that we exist in. Video, audio, just text forms, and the various other shows we have, including the weekly wrap-up, which we start preparing for come tomorrow because it's Friday. Check us out, see what we got going on, and can correspond with us as you deem worthy, as you deem us worthy, at their website. This is conversationproject.com. And of course, the most important thing you can do every single day is check the feeds on Facebook and Twitter/X, and let us know what stories to talk about every single day, including tomorrow. We want to wrap up big for Friday, so you've got to engage in us. Tell us what stories are the biggest ones. We'll get them in a great story lineup for you for tomorrow. Now we get to the fun stuff. The fun stuff is something we do at the end of every show, and it always begins with birthdays. Birthdays are the funnest part of the fun stuff. And today we are giving much celebration, much love, many, many flowers to a great person. They're all great people. It's going to Mary J. Blige today, 53 years old on the day. Mary J has had a very good couple of years. They had a chance to sing with a bunch of hip hop guys at the Super Bowl a few years back. And while everyone was like parroting and dancing, she's breaking up with folks and crying and getting people emotional. And it was the most glorious thing I've ever seen. Now, the only thing that may be a second is that year Missy Elliott took over from Coldplay and decided, oh no, this is my halftime show. And then of course Prince. Other than that, Mary J. Blige takes the third, and he wasn't even her full show. But it's her birthday today. 53 years old on to that beautiful woman. Also beautiful women birthdays today. Kim Coles, my longtime crush, old Tootie, and 62 years old today. And the Peet, 52 years old as well. For history today, we're going all the way to 2009. Yes, the world's most famous chocolate makers, Cadbury, decided to announce it would put a notice on its chocolate that says may contain milk. Just in case people allergic to milk could, just be careful of that as they ate Cadbury's milk chocolate. Let that process for 3 seconds as we go to our celebration of the day, which happens to be, ironically, National Milk Day. So today is a day that you can celebrate milk in all its cases, unless you are, of course, allergic to it. You have a glass of pink, have a glass of brown, have a glass of butter if you're one of those people. And it's also the day I get a chance to bring up one of the most underrated and almost forgotten duos from the 80s, the Audio 2, the Brooklyn, New York hip hop duo, which had, of course, Kirk Milk D. Robinson and DJ Nat Gizmo Robinson, and bring up Milk is Chillin' and Gizmo is Chillin'. What more can I say? Top villain. Our poll question for today is simple. Better programming from last night. There was a debate on CNN that was kind of a snoozer, and there was a town hall on Fox News that was kind of programming that probably got more eyeballs than the debate last night because the debate turned into a snoozer. But which was better? Last night's CNN debate between Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, or Fox News' town hall with former President Donald Trump? Let us know at our website, or go to thisistheconversationprod.com, which is our website, /daily poll 2024-0111, and vote on it today. Which was better, CNN's work or Fox News' work? There is no option for neither, so you got to go either way. It's just we didn't get a cop out on this one. You got to go either way for this day's poll. Now let's get into getting out of here for Thursday, August the 11th, 2024. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I thank you so much for being a part of the family, being part of the show, helping us out with this thing here every single day. Make sure you stop by our feeds on Facebook and Twitter and help us out so we know what stories to talk about tomorrow. We'll talk about them tomorrow, and prepare for the weekend with the Friday edition of the show, and of course the weekly wrap up and story of the week. Make sure you're staying limber, hydrated, and on task for all the grand things you're here to do. It's been a wild one so far, and we'll see how far it goes, especially since by November we'll have a possible new president or the old guy, even though the new president will probably be the old guy again. It makes no sense. We deserve better, but it is what we have. Love you, mean it. Have a great Thursday, and be back here for a Friday edition of Things You Might Not Have Heard.